I'm not stepping down ever. Never am I stepping down. I'm here forever. You can't make me leave. I can only be kicked out by a party review or death. Yes, I'm here forever. Ha 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 ha! John Rustad, the powerful and magnificent, you will bow before me, and your cities will go in flames if you should denounce my power. Sorry, John, we voted you out. Okay, then, I'm gone. I'm out of here. See you next time, guys. Let's build a strong conservative party. Holy fucking spineless guy there.
There it is. This is bad news. Oh, my God. Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. Catch them. They try mopping this.
All right, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Joey Only Show. Joey here in Wells, BC. Of course, we got the podcast going on tonight here on the channel at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Do join us if you wouldn't mind. Got lots of news in BC today, lots of things to talk about. First of all, though, you won't be hearing from me on Facebook for a few days again. Now, I've been on continuous restrictions since August, with all kinds of ridiculous infractions thrown at me, saying they said that I was soliciting for sex when I was joking about an orgy or something, you know, like, and put into jail. They said I copyright infringed on an 80-something-year-old photo that was taken next to my house here in Wells that was put up by the museum. Put me on restrictions for copyright. Have any of you ever been on Facebook restrictions for copyright? Like, what the hell? People are sharing fucking shit they don't own all the time on Facebook. It's ridiculous. Anyways, fuck them. Fuck that place. That's why I'm just going to keep making shows, keep talking here on the YouTube, keep talking on my Patreon, keep trying to find new ways to express myself so I don't go crazy out of boredom sitting here. I got just a few days left before I go to Ontario for 2 weeks, and then I'll be in Facebook jail right up to the last minute with all this crazy, bad, inclement weather coming in. Of course, I got my Bobby Bobcat profile, which I only use sparingly because I'm afraid that Facebook will find that it exists and destroy it. Okay, next topic today. So I'm not on Facebook. Okay, next topic today. John Rustad was forced out of leadership of the party, of the BC Conservative Party. Yes, he was. He was forced out within his own caucus, who voted. 20 out of 39 members of the caucus voted to say that he was basically functionally inept, or there was some funny word they used for it, like he's just dysfunctional fucking leader, basically. Like, the guy is so boring. I mean, he's so square, he's so lame, and it's like you take this like uninspiring, lame old man from Nechako or wherever he's from. Hi, I'm John Rustad. He's such a boring ass character that when I saw his face on the news last night, I was like, oh yeah, that's what he looks like. I was like surprised when I seen his face, like, oh, that's John Rustad, right? I'm like a political guy. I've seen his face before, but he's so unremarkable of a human being that I just forgot what he fucking looks like and what his voice sounded like, because it's like, you are so irrelevant, like you matter so little that I just didn't bother to take space in my brain to remember, like, what kind of person is John Rustad in actuality, apart from his bizarre anti-science politics, you know. And you know, it's like, here's we got. This is good. You know, the BC Conservative Party is moving in the right direction. I'm even wearing blue today to say hi to some of you because, you know what? First of all, you distance yourselves from these one BC fucking nutbags. Okay, these residential school denying activists who are out there, just basically, they're like quasi-fascists, okay? They're the racist extremists who are mad that John Rustad isn't a racist enough extremist, of which he is still, in my opinion, somewhat of a racist extremist. So, goodbye, John. We got rid of John, and we got rid of one BC. You know, the Conservative Party of BC may actually be starting to pull its shit together, despite what a joke it looks like from the outside. These are like fundamental problems. Like, hey, you got a leadership that's like not inspiring. It's not based on reality. He's anti-science, this guy. He's anti-science. He's not intellectually sophisticated person, and we don't fucking need him. We don't need him. We don't need him or those 1BC wackos that are getting arrested out there. It's like big. It's a big thing they're trying to do. Basically, get arrested so that they could like cry foul and be like, "We're warriors for justice." No, you're not. You're not welcome on campus, because campus is where people who have evidence go to discuss things that are real. Unlike you fucking whack jobs. Get out of here. Yeah, throw him in jail. See if I mean, I got thrown in jail for protesting, but except I was protesting things that actually mattered. Were actually real. Like, don't cut 9,000 people off disability. We're going to protest you. We're going to take over your offices and fight you. And we'll get thrown in jail for that. Yeah, I did that shit. The BC Disability Review Program. You can look that up. So we got rid of Rustad. Yeah, right on. I can't stand the loser. And we got rid of the one BC wackos, and now the BC Conservative Party. And, they got a forestry critic who, maybe by mistake, maybe it wasn't meant to be heard by the public, but he said something to the effect last week of like, BC has to do things differently. We can't just keep doing the same old. We have to think outside the box. Of course, he's got some like corporate solutions, packaged in there, like speed up the process of application approvals, and let's not use fucking bridges anymore. We'll just use big round culverts. Like, I'm not saying he's a good guy, but finally we had a conservative person with power regarding forestry and the environment say something that was true. You can't just take it all forever, because then we'll run out. No! Stone that man! Basically, it's like, I messaged up Sheldon Clare this morning, my MLA, because I think he's an example of somebody who, although I don't agree with everything Sheldon says, and I've vocally said it before, and he's sat in my house and we've debated a little bit on some of these topics, and, to the point at which, like, how much debate is necessary. That's why I say a little bit like, oh, that's okay. Well, what about this? Yeah, okay. Well, anyways, next topic. So when we debated a little bit, I don't mean that we didn't debate. I'm just saying, like, there's a point at which, like, healthy debate shouldn't go on, like, on a subject shouldn't go on for 6 hours. It should be like, well, I think this, I think this, I think this. What about this? What about that? What about this? You see this? Okay, I'll think about it. Great, next topic. So it's more like that, right? But there's a guy who, like, I said to him, I said, Sheldon, I'm glad to see John is gone. I don't know if he was one of the 20 that voted against him, or if he's one of the 19 that voted to keep him. I don't personally know that, or I didn't ask. I don't have knowledge. I don't need to know that. I don't care. What I care about is what I said to Sheldon. I said, hey, Sheldon, now that goofy Rustad is gone, maybe they could find someone who's somewhat inspiring, who generally speaks honestly and is able to convince people that he's listening to them, and that, crossing the floor to talk with people who are different than you matters. And I said, don't sell yourself short, Sheldon. So I'm not going to say anything about, I'm putting the pressure on Sheldon. If you see him, say, Sheldon, we would like you to run for the leader of the party. Do that, because I think the conservative parties in general are flailing. They don't think they are. They think they're doing great. But you look across Canada, they're fucking flailing. Danielle Smith's flailing, despite the fact that, she's got Carney on her side a little bit right now. I don't know why he'd be, making agreements with her instead of putting her in jail for being a traitor. I guess she hasn't crossed that line enough yet. What a terrible human. So, like, in general, Polyev, he's about to get turfed. He's a fucking shell. He's a sham. No one cares. He's got no plan. He's just this whiny, divisive geek that people who are, like, naturally bitter love, because he's, like, this bitter character. People who are naturally bitter think he's great, but they're wrong. He's not great. And, it's 20-30% of Canadians can be like, yeah, that guy's awesome. That will not matter. It doesn't matter how much you love him. He's not winning. He's not ever going to win. He's not ever going to win. So we got, like, in politics these days, like, we really at a standing point where people like me who don't particularly like to be involved with any one party find themselves looking around going, the options are shit. I mean, BC NDP, they've not been terrible. They're not as bad as everyone says they are. They're not destroying the province or anything like that. My criticism of them is that they're not sticking to the working class NDP roots. We shouldn't have had a strike go on for like a fucking month where I couldn't even get weed in town because of the NDP. Couldn't get weed because all your workers were on strike. In the distribution, even at the non-government stores, goes through government agencies. Think about that. You want to punish people who are more likely to vote for you? How about you just take away all of our weed to see how that felt for a little while? Yeah, that wasn't very popular, man. But on the, my criticism of the NDP isn't even like provincially, it's like, so, okay, basically like they're just a kind version of the Liberals is basically what the NDP are. That's kind of like their new branding is like, we're not really about socialist politics or left-wing ideas or like redistributing the wealth or having equality or balance in society. We're not really about those things. Like, we're all for capitalism. We're all for the rich guy. Yeah, we are. Rich guy, we're with you, rich guy. We like you. We're the rich guy party, except we're the rich guy party that smiles more and we try to make sure it hurts less when we fuck you over. Like, that's kind of what it's become. So, like, federally, the NDP have not been letting my friend Eves participate in the leadership process. You guys don't know about Eves Engler? The guy's like very radical, very militant. I've known him a while, and he's very militant, especially on the topic of Palestine. Review, the leadership process in the NDP is not letting him take part. They're basically like making it impossible for him to be. It doesn't matter how much he's raised. He's got all the fucking signatures on the paper. He's got everything. He's got everything you need to basically now join in the leadership race. And the stalwarts, the head bosses up there in the Democratic Party are making sure that the Democratic thing can't happen. Now, I'm never going to vote for NDP candidate again if this fucking continues. I'll tell you that, because there is no Democratic Party if you don't let Eves run. Now, you don't have to let him win. He's not going to win. So, like, what are you scared of? If he's not going to win, why not have him be part of the discussion? Well, you don't want the discussion to get steered more to the left. You don't want more justice and revolutionary ideas. And you don't want to have people talk about Gaza. And you don't want people talk about what the Israeli military is doing to people. And, you don't want to talk about all that stuff. It's like, it's important that we allow people who have voice that matters to come into the conversation to help steer the conversation. That's my only point. So we got Liberal Party that's sold out. You got Carney there. He's basically a red Tory. He's the Conservative Party now, wherein Pierre's just like some weird fascist wacko fucking party going on. There is no centrist party left. Maybe it's the NDP. If it is, then there's no left party left. And all these parties are owned by corporations. And everyone's divided, and everyone hates each other, and everyone thinks each other is the worst thing ever, and we're going nowhere. Man, could we just have and like the best person for it would be a Conservative Party somewhere leader who could start breaking that mold a little bit, start talking about start being less divisive. We're going to have economic disagreements, we're going to have political disagreements, but why do I like Sheldon? Because at least he'll fucking talk to you. And I'm a radical left-wing lunatic, and my conservative MLA comes to my house and has coffee with me. That's the guy I want to see leading a province. Not because I get anything personally out of it. Not because I'm like rooting for Team Sheldon. I'm not here making a video being like, let's go Team Sheldon. It's just, man, something needs to fucking be different for a change. And you got the right, there's people around who can do it, who can deliver on that. So big time change today in BC. Big time change. Rustad is out. Boo, who cares? Who cares? The guy was a sham. Something needs to change in politics. Some manner of people feeling like politics is working for them and not for the big corporate guy. And I know, it'll be hard to convince me that a Conservative Party won't be corporate guy first, no matter who's in charge. I know. But if we could, take you back from, take the Blue Party back from the extreme end it's been at and where it's going and the irrelevance it's going further into, what's happening is the Conservative Party is becoming irrelevant. It's becoming irrelevant. People are laughing more and more. And they're being confused into thinking that Carney is somehow the solution. And it's man, there is no good solution in Canadian politics available in any province except fucking Manitoba. If you have Wab Canoe as your premier, maybe you're happy. Other than that, you're being led by wackos and sellouts and scumbags, Ford included, especially. Right? He can talk populism all he wants. These are terrible people, and they represent a terrible agenda, and something needs to change. We need to have some cohesive voices come back that say, you know what? This is what it means to be Canadian. We're all in the same team, even if we're not in the same party always. Right? That's what we need. So I don't know who else is out there available. I don't know if Sheldon's available to run. I don't know who else in the Conservative Party is available, but if you get rid of a guy like fucking John, a square, boring-ass, shitty old robot that no one cares about, do yourself a favor and don't find a brand new, boring-ass, shitty fucking cold robot that no one cares about, who's completely uninspiring and will just lead your party into stagnation any further and will keep the NDP in power unchecked, which, I mean, if you love the NDP, that's fine. But to me, I think the best thing we could have, is like strong parties. That's the best, strong participation from people from all political persuasions. That is the best thing. That's how we get democracy. It's how we sort out all of our disagreements and all our agreements and put them into a place and make that place called Canada and figure out how to make it all fucking work. Okay, that's the show. Hit like, share, subscribe. Bye.